Saludos a todos detrás de la cámara. Hoy haremos una excepción para dar un programa especial donde esta charla será completamente diferente a las anteriores, donde hablaremos del tema del controversial Donald Trump, por la sencilla razón que los titulares que dominan la primera plana de prácticamente todos los periódicos de los Estados Unidos hablan de Donald Trump, debido a los mensajes de venganza y violencia que se están esparciendo en estos momentos, donde posiblemente estamos viendo y somos testigos del desmantelamiento de la nación americana, donde esperemos que no termine como los escenarios que han sido presentados por la serie de televisión Jericho del año 2006 y la reciente película Civil War del año 2024, porque está creciendo a niveles nunca antes vistos. Desde la guerra civil del siglo XIX, la polarización tan marcada en los Estados Unidos. Hace 1960 años, Roma estaba en fuego bajo el César llamado Nerón. Muchos dicen, aunque no sea históricamente correcto, que ese verano marcó el fin del Imperio Romano. Hoy Estados Unidos está incendiándose. Escuchemos el anuncio de venganza del señor Donald Trump.
I just went through a rigged trial in New York.
In a series of interviews, Trump implying that if he's reelected, he will see payback against Democrats, including Joe Biden.
Look, when this election is over, based on what they've done, I would have every right to go after them. And it's easy because it's Joe Biden.
In an interview with Dr. Phil, he doubled down.
You have so much to do, you don't have time to get even. You only have time to get right.
Well, revenge does take time, I will say that.
It does.
And sometimes revenge can be justified, Phil. Well, revenge does take time, I will say that.
It does.
And sometimes revenge can be justified, Phil. Well, revenge does take time, I will say that.
It does.
And sometimes revenge can be justified, Phil.
When this election is over, I would have every right to go after them. That's Trump broadcasting his intentions if he wins the White House. He is promising retribution. He wants revenge because his priority is himself.
Estamos viendo en la pantalla los titulares que hablan y describen el odio que da en aumento en los Estados Unidos, enfocados en llevar a cabo una retribución, una venganza total contra toda persona identificada como enemigo de Donald Trump o que ha hecho algún tipo de gestión contra Donald Trump, donde estos titulares incluyen republicanos muy influyentes dentro del partido que van a seguir las órdenes y por ende van a ser los sicarios de la voluntad de Donald Trump, donde nadie se va a salvar de la ira vengativa de Donald Trump cuando él sea presidente, incluyendo al juez, la fiscalía, el jurado y los familiares de todas esas personas que participaron en el reciente juicio contra el caudillo llamado Donald Trump. Eso incluye vengarse contra todas las personas de su administración pasada, como James Comey, Andrew McCabe y John Kerry, y naturalmente contra la persona la cual Donald Trump ha expresado más odio, solicitando que la metan presa, Hillary Clinton.
I'll tell you something, though. It's very lock them up. You should lock them up. Lock up the Bidens. Lock up Hillary. Lock them up.
Y otras personas como Barack Obama, Joe Biden y toda su familia, más Jeff Bezos, John Brennan, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, George Soros, Steve Ratner, el New York Times y el Washington Post. Y quién sabe si incluyen en la lista a William Barr, que fue su jefe del Departamento de Justicia, que se negó a obedecer las órdenes de Donald Trump para procesar criminalmente a las personas que acabo de mencionar, porque simplemente no habían evidencias para justificar tales acusaciones. Veamos ejemplos de esta furia republicana y frases cargadas de ira que se están manifestando en estos momentos y después oigamos los comentarios de una analista. Al final añadiré mis comentarios finales.
Is every House committee controlled by Republicans using its subpoena power in every way it needs to right now? Is every Republican DA starting every investigation they need to right now?
President Biden should just be ready, because on January 20 of next year, when he's former President Joe Biden, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And I am going to encourage all of my colleagues and everybody that I have any influence over as a member of Congress to aggressively go after the president and his entire family, his entire crime family.
I'm talking about tit for tat. You just wait, and it won't be Hunter Biden the next time. It's going to be Joe Biden. It could potentially still be Barack Obama. It could still potentially be Hillary Clinton.
And I had two calls yesterday, one from a county attorney in Kentucky and one from a county attorney in Tennessee. They were Republican, obviously, both states are heavily Republican. They want to know if there are ways they can go after the Bidens now.
We are fed up, and we're not going to take this anymore. So in the Senate, we're going to do everything we can to block any appointments of the Biden administration that we can. We're not going to fund any more programs unless it's tied to public safety. We're not going to fund any more programs unless it's tied to public safety. We're not going to fund any more programs unless it's tied to public safety. We're going to stop, and we're going to make sure there's no money for this lawfare against Republicans, including Trump.
GOP will have to retaliate against Democrats when they regain power.
Screw New York. New York doesn't deserve a damn penny. We shouldn't fund them one single dime, not a dime. They convicted President Trump of 34 fake felony charges. Oh, no. They don't deserve a penny from the federal government. That's what Speaker Johnson can do.
I think it's time we put a felon in the White House. I think it's time we put a felon in the White House. I think it's time we put a felon in the White House. Trump 2024, baby.
Este sheriff acaba de decir que es tiempo de poner un criminal en Casa Blanca. Lo voy a repetir. Este sheriff acaba de decir que es tiempo de poner un criminal en Casa Blanca. Parece que olvida que ese criminal, con Cámara y Senado en su control, por lo menos en los primeros 2 años, no cambió las leyes para cerrar la frontera. Continuemos.
NBC News reporting tonight that the other main prosecution witness in the Trump criminal trial, Michael Cohen, has, since the verdict, had his whole family doxxed. People have posted street addresses and other personally identifying information for his wife and for his children. NBC News also reported that in the immediate wake of the verdict, pro-Trump message boards posted a high volume of violent threats toward both the prosecutor and the judge in the New York case, including what purported to be the home address of District Attorney Alvin Bragg and what purported to be the home addresses of some of the jurors from the case. This is what it's like for people who are part of the legal system when the legal system is getting Donald Trump in trouble. And this is an ongoing thing. This is not going away. There's lots of pending cases against Trump. And these threats and the harassment and intimidation of people who are involved in the legal system, people who are witnesses, jurors, prosecutors, judges, court personnel, Trump, encourages it indirectly every time he makes individual people in these legal proceedings a personal target for his criticism and vitriol, and often his lies. He's never, ever discouraged his supporters from mounting the kind of harassment and intimidation campaigns that they have against everyone involved in these cases, including like the court clerks and the family members of the judges and the witnesses themselves and their families too. And it's every time, right? It's not just this current case. Last summer, Trump supporters circulated the purported names and photographs and home addresses of the grand jury, members of the grand jury in Fulton County, Georgia, after that grand jury voted to indict Trump there. This year, before Trump was convicted, in March and April, Reuters counted at least 152 posts on 3 pro-Trump websites urging the beating or killing of Judge Merchan or Judge Engoron in New York or Judge McAfee in Georgia. One January 6 convict who has already served his prison sentence for taking part in the Trump mob attack on Congress. He posted on Twitter a photo of prosecutor Alvin Bragg and a noose. It is terrorizing to the people involved in these cases. And it is systemic. They do it to all of them with all of the cases. It's designed to make the legal system unworkable when it comes to Trump, right? It's designed to make people unwilling to participate in the system if Trump is involved in the case, because you and your family will be put in danger, right? It's designed, if you are part of a case involving Trump, if you are considering bringing some sort of legal action, however well justified, that relates to Trump, they want you to fear for your life and for the lives of your family. That's the basic idea behind it, right? We're all supposed to be so scared of what he'll do. We're supposed to be so scared of how crazy his supporters will go that, to be safe, we should just let him do whatever he wants. No matter what it is, just let him get away with it. Because anything that annoys him, anything that holds him back, anything that punishes him for what he's done, they'll get so mad. And we should be so scared of what they'll do because, you wouldn't like them when they're mad. Trump was asked this weekend about his potentially being sent to prison when he gets sentenced next month. He said this in response. He said, quote, "I don't know that the public would stand for it. I'm not sure the public would stand for it. I think it would be tough for the public to take. At a certain point, there's a breaking point." He's saying, you jail me, there'll be a breaking point. The public won't stand for it. Sounds like a threat, right? It is a threat. It's the same threat he always makes because he wants us all to feel threatened. But he makes the same threat all the time. Right? September 2022, after the FBI served the search warrant at his home at Mar-a-Lago, he says, quote, "I don't know how much more our country will be willing to withstand." 2 months later, December 2022, all caps, "The people of this country aren't going to take it much longer." Then he was asked on a radio show about the possibility of him being criminally indicted. He said, "I think if it happened, I think you'd have problems in this country, the likes of which we've never seen before. I don't think the people of the United States would stand for it. I think they'd have big problems. I just don't think they'd stand for it." Then in March 2023, he said if he was indicted, it would rain down death and destruction. That he said would be, quote, "catastrophic for our country." Death and destruction if he were indicted. Then he was indicted. Then last summer, after he was indicted, he was asked about a possible prison sentence. He says, quote, "I think it's a very dangerous thing to even talk about because we do have a tremendously passionate group of voters. I think it would be very dangerous." Very, very dangerous. So yeah, now he's threatening again that there's going to be catastrophic Civil War level violence if anything bad happens to him. Like an indictment, which has happened 4 times. Like an arraignment, which has happened multiple times. Like a conviction, which has happened 34 times. Like a potential prison sentence, which, stay tuned. At every step of the way, he has made the same threat. At every step of the way, he has shaken his fist at the country and warned that if anything happens to him, his followers will rise up and level the place. Death and destruction, like nothing the country has ever seen before. It's always the same threat. It is not actually what they do. Because it is not actually how the country feels. If you look at the polling since the verdict in the New York case came down, there's been 3 national polls on reaction to the verdict so far. All of them show that most people in this country think the verdict was the right thing. The country is not rising up en masse to defend him. By and large, the country thinks, he committed crimes and it makes sense that he was convicted of them. These threats that if anything happens to him in the legal system, the country won't stand for it and there will be mass violence and there will be blood in the streets and there will be riots. You'll see it rising up like the country has never seen before. That is not happening. What is happening is his followers are terrorizing individual people involved in the legal process. And the Republican Party at the highest level and with almost total uniformity is simultaneously telling the American people that the American legal system is bunk and they shouldn't respect it and they shouldn't trust it. And Republicans at the state level are not just tolerating and trying to get away with election crimes to help Trump. Criminal election subversion is now being celebrated and rewarded, even in places where criminal prosecutions of these folks are ongoing. Places like Arizona and Nevada, fake Trump electors are charged with felonies there. But the accused felons have also just been given big new jobs by the state Republican Party in those states. They've been named delegates to the National Republican Convention and state representatives to the Republican National Committee. They've done the same with one of the fake electors in Wisconsin. where Republicans are trying again to recall a state legislative leader who acted, in their mind, with insufficient fervor to overthrow the election results in Wisconsin when Biden won that state and Trump lost. I mean, in Nevada, 2 of the state's official electors for the 2024 election will be people who are currently under indictment for what they did as fake electors in the last election. In the Republican Party right now, January 6th defendants are hostages and heroes who will be fully and immediately pardoned. Fake electors will be new party leaders. Brave souls who said no to the coup, who, you know, people who Democrats and normal people briefly tried to lionize for their bravery, people like, you know, Vice President Mike Pence, they are roundly rejected by their party. While prosecutors and judges and witnesses and jurors are hounded and threatened daily.
El medio noticioso The Hill publicó esta noticia titulada: El presidente de la Cámara, Johnson, anunció un plan para enfrentarse al sistema de justicia tras la condena de Trump. Y su contenido dice lo siguiente, y cito: el presidente de la Cámara, Johnson, anunció el martes un enfoque de 3 frentes para perseguir al sistema de justicia tras la condena del expresidente Trump. Según Johnson, el plan incluye el uso del proceso de apropiaciones en legislación presentada ante el Pleno y la Autoridad de Supervisión del Congreso para enfrentarse al Departamento de Justicia. Todas esas cosas sucederán vigorosamente porque tenemos que hacerlo, porque hay mucho en juego. Estamos perdiendo la fe en nuestras instituciones, Johnson dijo en una conferencia de prensa. Y al final del día, eso debería preocupar a todos. Y a mí, creo que sí. Cierro la cita. Naturalmente que estamos perdiendo la fe en las instituciones, como por ejemplo la Cámara de Representantes, que durante los últimos 2 años se ha dedicado a paralizar por completo la administración del presidente Biden. Y en vez de legislar para continuar con el progreso y para el beneficio del país, haciendo leyes como por ejemplo asignar más dinero para la frontera de los Estados Unidos y cambiar la ley de migración para poder cerrar total o parcialmente la frontera con México. Pero durante los últimos años se han dedicado a tratar de comenzar un juicio político contra el presidente Biden, sin ningún resultado porque no pudieron encontrar evidencia para justificar un juicio político contra el presidente Biden. A su vez, el Comité Judicial de la Cámara de Representantes, liderado por Jim Jordan, dice que se está preparando para cancelarle todos los fondos a los que enjuiciaron a Donald Trump. Además, van a retirarle todos los fondos a Jack Smith, asesor especial del Departamento de Justicia. Hay que hacer una nota, y es la siguiente. Jim Jordan, desde que se hizo representante en el año 2008, ha estado virando huevos en el Congreso, ya que no tiene ni una sola legislación aprobada de su autoría. Esta es la Cámara de Representantes de los Estados Unidos, la que aprobó una resolución para sancionar a los miembros de la Corte Internacional Penal y a sus familiares, la que quiso bajarle el salario a Mayorkas, jefe de Homeland Security, y al secretario de la Defensa a $1, y ahora como castigo quiere cancelar los fondos del sistema de justicia de los Estados Unidos. Como les indiqué, Roma se quema y nosotros somos testigos. Y ya llegamos al final de esta charla. Gracias a los patrocinadores y a las personas que me han dado un super thanks. Suscríbase y apriete la campanita. Recomiende este canal y nos vemos en el próximo análisis noticioso. Hasta mañana.